long terms demonstrate that sustainability is absolutely not more expensive. Thinking a long term means thinking of all the different aspects. And I also think that the social impact that you have when you are sustainable is really something that is a value, an added value. If you are not sustainable, you are not promoting social equity. And social equity is something really important for the well-being of all the population. I believe not only in the short term, but for sure it's not expensive in the long term.
In a world increasingly facing the challenges of climate change, with the Building Green podcast, we will dive deep into the intersection of architecture, design, urbanism, and environmental responsibility. I'm Ladina Schipf, your host. I've been an architect and building site manager for the past 10 years. During my studies at ETH in Switzerland, as well as in my working environment, I've had many touchpoints with sustainability, like many of you, I guess. I've also learned to question what I've been told, which is why I decided to go deeper into the topic and uncover what sustainability actually means. My mission is to highlight the transformative power of sustainable architecture, not just as a practice, but as a catalyst for broader societal change. Subscribe for more of our content and enjoy the show. Welcome, Erika Anesi. It's a pleasure having you on the podcast today. Thank you so much for your time. You're the CEO of PBA. With a background in engineering and design and a deep passion for human-centered design, you bring a unique perspective to our discussion. You know, on this podcast, my goal is to uncover what sustainability truly means in the built environment. And as an architect, I begin by understanding the elements that make a building sustainable, from passive architecture to the materials used. In the podcast discussions, I've covered some design topics. I've talked to urbanists, vertical farmers, and even a space architect a few weeks ago. But sustainability also lies in the little details of a buildings. These details that we use every day and that are so ingrained in our lives that we often overlook them. And that's why I'm especially excited to talk to you today. And I look forward to exploring these small details, how these can have a significant impact on sustainability. Erika, can you tell me briefly what PBA is known for and what your role within the company looks like?
So PBA is an Italian-based company. We have branches in the United States, Germany, and France. And we are well known for our products that inspire from door hardware and bathroom accessories. But what I think is the big difference between PBA, that is not a large company, is a medium-sized company, and it is also women-owned and women-managed, is our focusing on inclusivity and sustainability. And it's something deeply in our DNA. It comes from more than 40 years ago when we talk about design for all, and we decided that we wanted to produce products that promote, at that time we said to avoid segregation. That is a little bit different than promoting inclusion, but it's a way to understanding that human beings are at the centers of what we want to do. And so sustainability is a pair with inclusion. And so you cannot deal with or you cannot be focused and you cannot produce products that promote inclusion and sustainability without doing both of them.
Was it always your mission, or did your mission change towards the years towards being more committed to sustainability and inclusion?
Yeah, I started my career embarking on a journey in engineering and ending with a PhD in psychology of architecture, which seems really unbelievable or quite strange, but it totally makes sense. It's a way to grab the tools, and when you use the tools, use them with knowledge and responsibility. So it's a perfect base to have the engineering competences, but then you need to have also the understanding that you have to think wider and think to people. And so the psychology of architecture master is the PhD graduation is, I think, the best fit. So what happened is that throughout the engineering study and the first part of my working life, my fascination with problem solving and innovation found a perfect outlet. I delved deep into understanding the complexity of structure as an engineering, so the system, the process, But then, later in my working life, I personally have found that nothing is more complex than the construction business. And I think it's because it's a perfect mix of the needs of the humans and the technical performance must not only cohabit, but they also must thrive, both of them, especially the human beings. So I think this is the most complex job, but it's also the most satisfying. So, alongside with this technical and humanistic education, another passion quite similar to me, and it is that commission for sustainability, both in my personal and professional sphere. I spent my first 10 years working at Montefibre. Montefibre is a chemical company. They produce acrylic fiber. It's part of the Aniken group. And as you can imagine, I'm talking about something like 30 years ago. So they were really committed to sustainability, but it was more, it was called environmental responsibility. So at that time, as I would say, at the time, I immersed myself in exploring the interface between industry and environmental consciousness, focusing on all the regulation like the ISO 14001, the European regulation, and working on the document that today is called the Corporate Sustainability Report. So I think it's really something that I realized while working and while dealing with the construction business, or in that case, it was the chemical and industry. But while working with the large impact that such kind of industries can have on the environment, that you have to really be focused not only in the sustainable aspect, but also in the social aspect. So I think it was at that time that I recognized the holistic nature of sustainability, that because sustainability encompasses not only the environmental and economic dimension, but also the social aspect.
I think we have to start by defining what sustainability means for you, because I've heard different definitions so far.
I think that, well, for me, we should talk about sustainable development, which is a little bit different. It's a more complex, but it gives you immediately the idea that it's not something that is static. So we don't have to be focused on something that is sustainable, but we have to be focused on something that will be sustainable, is sustainable today and will be tomorrow. So sustainable development at first. And then I believe that there's no possibility to really do a sustainable development if you don't take care of the other aspect of sustainability, because environment is one of, but then you have the social and then you have the economic. And the three parts are strictly interconnected. If you don't value all the three the same, what you are going to do is create a disadvantage for one of the three. So you can do an amazing results in terms of environmental, but maybe you are wasting culture, you are creating not inclusive environmental situations. So it's really the combination, the mix between the technical and the humanistic aspects that has been to be taken into consideration to create a really sustainable development.
That's a beautiful definition. Can I ask you a specific question? So how does that look like? How at PBA in your daily practices? How are you implementing that?
Well, we produce door hardware and bathroom accessories. So how we do implement that in our new product development, and how we do implement that in our working environment. So for the first, and of course, with all working environment, I mean all the stakeholders that are related to. So in terms of product development, we work with the leading architectural firm worldwide, and they are really very demanding in what they ask in terms of sustainability and inclusivity. So what we do is to be committed to design and produce products that are really sustainable and that really promote inclusion. And this is clearly, I think, demonstrated by our last hardware collection. We presented a Newcon. We won the Best of Newcon Gold Award, and we won also the Innovation Award. And the reason is that the jury explained to us is that the first time that a product like door hardware that generally is considered a commodities or I think a part of a component, but it's the door hardware is your shake hand with the room. So it's really, really important. All that is related with your feeling and the importance that door hardware have. Since a while ago, door hardware was considered only for the technical feature. It has to work well, the durability, the possibility to replace some components. But today, it has a completely new role. So why we have been recognized this award? Because we decided to use a completely new material for the door hardware. So we decided to use Econil. Econil is an amazing material in terms of sustainability. It's produced by Aquafil. They are the leader worldwide in this sustainable material. It's made with 100% recycled nylon, and it is 100% recyclable. So the idea is, if there is a plastic already produced in the world, let's use it infinitely instead of wasting it. And so we decided to use this material, which is not so easy for door hardware manufacturer, because we have, of course, to deal with completely different material compared to aluminum or stainless steel we are used to. And also we decided to do in collaboration with Kay Sargent. Kay Sargent is one of the senior principal of HOK, but she's really well known in the architecture and design community to be the first person who started studying the inclusion as part of the designing process of especially workplace. So we decided to work with her and to work with the Neurodiversity in Business. That is an organization based in United Kingdom that is focused on inclusion of neurodiverse people in the built environment and at workplace. And we also decided to work with the University of Venice, asking them to do a research about the perception of sustainability and inclusivity. I'm saying tons of data, but it's exactly what my purpose. How we do this? We do working with the best people we can find, with the best companies. We do working with the university. We realize in sustainability and inclusion, living in a sustainable and especially in an inclusive way, working with people that can help us to move the boundaries of what we did, because again, it's a development. It's not only a goal. In terms of what we do in our working life to be sustainable, we use only 100% recyclable energy source. Of course, we do all the small things that each company can do, but also every person can do. We don't use plastic for water. We have refill bottles. And we also are really focus on the well-being of our workforce, because as I was mentioning, we are women-owned, women-managed, and in our offices, 95% of employees are women, and we are a mechanical company, so it's not so common. But we are aware that when you work with women, you have to deal with women life, and women life is really complex compared to the men life. So they have children, they have parents, and generally always women take care of all these aspects. So we give a lot of flexibility in our working activities, not only in terms of time, but also in terms of they can work remotely. Really, they started before COVID. For us, it's a way to give well-being to our colleagues.
Well, it sounds like you have a strong focus on all these, let's say, soft factors or these not so technical factors with all the inclusivity and everything. And in the end, it's what makes your company so successful.
I think you really centered the point, because it's for us to give a product that is, of course, made with the best material, that it has been designed by the best designers, it's a starting point. It's not enough, because really the human aspect and the well-being are focus. We are committed more than the sustainable one, because we consider that if you are focused on the first, then you of course need to be sustainable.
Mm-hmm. And how does your product, the one that won the prize, for example, in terms of design, how is it different from other products? What makes it specifically more sustainable, more integrity, positive, and everything?
Well, in terms of design, this collection, the Toko collection, if we refer to this, the last launch we did, our decision was to do something that is nothing new in terms of the shape. That design, you can define design, well, the history of the meaning of design changed a lot in the last decades. So before it was pure form, then it was for scope, so the technical use of design, the function of design. Today we are facing, and I'm really happy about this, the concept of design as a purpose. So if the purpose of an object that we are going to design is to promote sustainability and inclusion, it shapes in terms its design. This is a little bit confusing when we talk in English because they use the same word, but its form, its shape is not so important, despite for the aspect that can promote accessibility, which is a part of inclusion. So we are talking about the fact that it can be easily used by persons with a reduced ability of movement. So all the ADA regulation, if we are talking about United States regulation or the European regulation. But in this case, this collection is made with recycled and recyclable material for the sustainability aspects. And for the inclusion, it's a hardware collection that has, you can have endless colors. And you know that colors is used as wayfinding, and it has a deep impact of people behaviors. And it can also be used by designers to be coherent with a brand idea. But the texture of the grip that is made with Econyl is available with two different textures. One is smooth and the other one is facet. And this is because if you think about COVID gives us a lot of opportunity to rethink about how we interact with the product, but also with the environment, forcing us to be closed in small spaces or creating scare that we didn't have before. So the tactile experience you have with an object, it's easier to understand if you think about a seat, a bench, or a carpet, but it's also the same with an hardware. It's really an engaging moment. So if you think about the word neurotypical, this word identifies as very small percents of population. So we are generally hyper or hypo stimulated by the environment. For example, I think that someone can say I am neurotypical, but this is not true. I need a lot of light, otherwise I get depressed. I need to work in open space. I don't like that doors are closed. So this is something that you don't see looking and talking to me, but it's something that I deeply feel when I am in a room or in a built environment. So the idea with Toko was to offer a different tactile experience. So you have a soft or a faceted grip, and also the thermal comfort is different because we are used to produce a metal hardware which is cold. Econyl, in addition to be absolutely sustainable, it also has the same temperature of the room, so the thermal comfort is higher.
And how about hygiene? Is that an important aspect when you choose the material?
Oh, of course. But generally speaking, all hardware is made in the hardware components. So the steel components is 316L stainless steel. You can clean with everything. And the Econyl has the same aspect. It's really cleanable material. We are also thinking to use this material for all we have another range of products that are for accessibility, so for accessible bathrooms, and we are thinking to use it for these products because we tested and it is absolutely not only cleanable very easily, but it's not toxic, and which is absolutely, it's not cytotoxic. which is really important, like PVC is toxic. So we are really, well-being means all these things.
And so, in terms of the production process with the factory and from factory to your client's home or building site, how do you make sure that you get the most sustainable out of each in terms of materiality? We've touched that one already, but also transport and circular economy, longevity, and the packaging.
So all the things that are completely managed by the company are controlled. And so I know exactly what we do. For example, we use FSC box, which are cartoon, which are really more expensive than the others. We don't use, we reduce, because we don't use is not true. We reduce as much as possible the use of plastic of the packaging, but shipping by air, the product needs also to be protected. We are not an energy consumer company, and all the electricity we use comes from this company that is called Trentina Dolomiti, and it's 100% made by recyclable energy. So it's sun energy made with the sun. And in terms of shipping, we also have a taking back program, because everything that is made in aluminum or in stainless steel can be, generally it's a very valued trash. It's paid. So it's very easy to have this collecting the take back program. And for the EcoNeil, we agreed with Aquafil to use the take back program, because EcoNeil is mainly used for carpeting. So they have a huge take back program in the United States and also in Europe. And they agreed to use to offer the assistance for the take back program of the components of nylon, because I forgot to mention that this collection has been designed to be fully disassembled. So you can completely separate the EcoNeil components from the metal components, and they can be shipped to the take back program. And they are really valuable material, because all the stainless steel can be reused and all the EcoNeil can be reused.
Very cool. Do you see because you've been in the firm for a longer time, do you see a big shift in requirements from your clients that this sustainability aspect is getting more important when they choose which door handle they want to build in?
Yes, I think the real push hasn't been done by the client, but by the architects. I was mentioning that we work in strict collaboration with the biggest architects, and architects like Gensler and HOK or some. They are committed, and they are, I would say they are really moving all the construction business to the new frontier of sustainability. For example, Gensler goal to be carbon neutral this year has been reached, thank you to the companies that produce products that are carbon neutral. So I saw, starting, I think, 5 years ago, things start changing. But in the past 2 years, there has been really a jump in terms of the consciousness of the clients, of the architects. Because in terms of cost, it's absolutely true that when you buy a sustainable product, it is more expensive. But it is more expensive in that specific moment when you buy it. If you buy a product that is less expensive, you are only putting in another point of the life cycle of these products, the cost. So you are not assuming the responsibility. You are giving to others the cost of the products. So I think that buying sustainable products, and really be very careful in buying truly sustainable product, because there is a lot of confusion in what is sustainable and what is not sustainable, and if it is truly sustainable or not. For example, wood is perceived as sustainable material, but it's absolutely not sustainable unless it is FSC. So it's a long path. We have to educate it together with the architectural community. We have to educate customers and clients first to be aware of what is sustainable and what is not sustainable. And in the same way, we have to educate people that sustainability include social equity and so include inclusion. Because I think it's a really it's a tricky situation, but we have to figure it out how to transmit and be this consciousness of the three pillars going together.
I love what you just said. I have exactly the same goal with the podcast as well, to show that sustainability is not what most people think it is, that it depends on each case. Like sometimes wood can be the most sustainable material, but sometimes you would have to bring in wood from really far away or use a lot of more material than if you use concrete, for example. And I really think that you, as a high quality or as a company that produces high quality products and with a really high design level, have the responsibility to be really a leader there, because you have the resources and you can show people that I think kind of there's a gap of also what is desirable, what is liked by people. And the more stylish elements that are sustainable, the more it's going to be desirable.
I believe that sustainable and inclusive products must be beautiful products. Not only can be, but must be. For a long time, people and designers as well consider sustainable and inclusive product not the best in terms of design. And this is also a process. We did some talk at Newcon, and we asked a teacher at the Parson. The Parson University for Design is one of the well-known and most important in the United States. And one of our questions was, we always talk about life cycle, but if we think about the life cycle of consciousness, we need to have raw material manufacturer, product manufacturer, the architectural and design community, and the education together. Otherwise, you teach your students to design nice product, but you don't let them aware of what exactly it means. Beauty means beauty for all. And if it is for all, it has to be sustainable. It has to be inclusive. So I totally agree with you. We have a huge responsibility to continuously talk with our partners, so customers and architects, and to talk together. Because what happened in this business, in the construction business, is that sometimes you have a producer, architects, and then in the middle you also have the GC that can spare all the the pair after long conversation and hard agreement. But by the way, so you have these I think really four different parts related: education and designers as well, and raw material manufacturing. And we have to sit together and together work on how we can produce and design a more inclusive and sustainable and built environment, which, as you mentioned at the beginning, means everything. Everything that is in a room is the built environment, not only the room itself.
A few of you might know that I recently opened my own architecture studio, and I just started with the podcast. I'm very excited to build a platform where I connect with inspiring people to learn along the way and share these learnings with you. So if any little thing has inspired you, or if you learned anything new, I'd appreciate if you could rate the show or share my content on social media, Spotify or YouTube or wherever you listen to it. And if you think there are any touch points between you and me, I'd be super happy to connect with you. Feel free to reach out on any platform. What are some of the biggest challenges you faced in implementing sustainable practices at PBA?
My board is really committed. I think they are totally focused on the importance. But as you mentioned, it's funny because they are committed, but the beginning of their consciousness didn't start for the technical aspect, but it started for the human aspect. By the way, it doesn't matter. I think it's important to to move, to roll the stones. So in a way, you are able to do. So our big challenges, well, I think it's really a matter to improve every day, because all our production is based in Italy. So we have never globalized our source, so all our material or our suppliers are really close to us. When it is related to shipping our products, of course, we work worldwide, and in terms of the consumption of CO2 or the cost of the transports, of course, it is higher cost. But I think that the big challenge is to go in the smaller details, and it's to let all the different departments of the company more aware of what it means, because we have, of course, technical department. They work together with me and together with the architects, and so they are trained and they are focused on what it means. The next step is to have all the other departments involved, just to be all of us more aware. And I think that having different thinking, different point of view, it's really important. And in terms of what we are really doing, we are re-engineering some of our products to be to be more sustainable. I mean, it's not only to avoid the use of some components that you can use, because honestly, there is another thing that people should understand is that when someone tells you that it contains zero of a specific material, that's not true, because this is not what regulation asks you. And so it's really hard also in terms of technical feasibility to produce hardware with some minerals or some other components. But what we are doing is to be focused on spare parts that are the same for different products, components that are the same for different products, and small adjustment to our well-known and existing collection that works very well, but then we can do small adjustments that can make the difference. And this idea of the small adjustment is something that I personally learned working on neurodiversity in the workplace, where it's really clear that when you are able to do small adjustment in your physical environment, for example, to increase or decrease the temperature of the room, or have more light or less light, or have the possibility to change your position in the room, this can really make you feel so much better that you are more performing. So the idea that small changement can make a big difference if you consider as a whole. Let me introduce to the board the idea that we have to take all our product and think, okay, they have a 9, we can have a 10 plus. So let's start how to do it.
That's wonderful. Erika, what drives your personal commitment to sustainability?
Well, my personal commitment to sustainability, well, it's a wide question. I don't admit, for example, its commitment to sustainability, because I believe that we cannot admit if you want to live in a healthy earth. I committed with the idea that I have to save room for the others, which is it's a text in the Bible, but I think it's a lovely phrase, because it means that for someone well to exist, you have to reduce your needs. Otherwise, there's no space for the others. So my personal commitment to sustainability includes also the part of inclusion, is to be aware that I am really a lucky person. I was born in the right part of the world. And so my responsibility and my commitment is in really trying to do every day. I wash my teeth and close the water while I'm doing. I don't drink tap water. Sorry, I only drink tap water. I don't drink bottled water. So are small parts of what you can do. But I'm totally convinced that today, especially with the global situation that we have in terms of politics, only as a single individuals can make a difference. So I'm trying to do it by myself in this way. And being the CEO, I drive a lot of hiring policy, of developing policy of my colleagues. And so also this aspect, training them, having them all involved in what are our goals and what we can do is my commitment.
Do you have a specific way to measure the impact of PBA sustainability initiatives?
Well, what we started when we decided to do the APD is, of course, approaching all these aspects with a measurable approach. And so our goals are, of course, to reduce. Well, I don't want to seem the best of the class in terms of company, but really, we are. It's not we are. It's the way we are, and we were. And it's the way our company has been founded by our founder. So what we can do to improve is more related to the humanistic aspect than to the technology aspects. Because again, all our we don't have wasted part because all our scarves are used in process. We are not energy consumer because we have a lot of and part of our process is still made by people, so we don't consume a lot of energy. But we are really focusing in giving back to our neighborhood and giving back to our community where we are part of our profit. And how we do, we organize, we sponsor and organize events at the museum. We have sponsored the last show of Dorothea Lange. It was the first large exposition in Europe of these amazing photographers. Or we have, of course, well-being programs for our colleagues. So in terms of what we can do to improve and how to measure, so at the end of this year, we will collect again all our data and see if we did the right choice. For example, the decision to use only energy from a sustainable producer has been taken 1 year ago. So this is something that it wasn't part of how we did. It's how we did today. We use only recycled paper, but I think it's really a way we are. We ask all the people to use to do not abuse of air conditioning, but we redid all the facade of our companies to be a better building in terms of energy consumption.
I saw that you build according to LEED certification and everything. And I like that you don't just focus on that, or I think you didn't even mention it, but that you focus on really being like a role model and then giving back to the community. And if they go deeper into who is this company, what are they doing, they really see this role model. And I think that has a much bigger impact. And I also think the longevity is a big aspect in terms of sustainability, and as better in terms of functionality, but also as more beautiful a product is, it's obvious that it's going to last longer.
Absolutely. And they last longer if you use the right material and if you design in the right way. So we are living in an era where products are designed to be not durable because you have to buy the new version less than after 1 year. And this is completely the opposite of what we are doing. What happens is that it's sad to say, but we see that the replacement of our products is more driven by design choices instead of needs for better products in terms of durability or functions. It's more related to the design approach, and this happens especially in the United States.
Yeah, but I think at least it sounded like if you're trying to make the parts always the same, it can at least be exchangeable and you can keep the structure or something from a door handle, let's say.
This is exactly the idea at the base of this product. This is the Tocolivers. This is Econil. This is 316L stainless steel. And there's, a screw here. And you can completely disassemble. This is full stainless steel and this is full Econil. They go to different take-back program. And they can...
Yeah, you can recycle, but you can also just replace. You have the feeling you have a new one, but you didn't waste too much of all the material.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I totally agree with you. Sometimes you just need to change your rings to have a completely different look, and this is something that we should improve in all different products we
Yeah.
offer.
Erica, what's a future trend that you're really looking forward to?
I think that honestly, I went to NeoCon and we have our product nominated for the award. But what is nice at NeoCon is that they nominate the awarded products the first day of the shows, and I was really surprised because when you this is really I'm sorry, but it's part of the answer. It was surprising me because we were competing with amazing furniture because we are architectural products. We are the category architectural products. So honestly, I think that for designers, and all the jewelry is made by designers, to see something new from Polstrona Frau or something amazing desk or think a bench, colorful, and then just look at these levers and say, oh, this is the best. It means that we are exactly in this moment when we can change the paradigm. And so what I see for in the future and what I'm going to push to happen in the future is to continuously work with designers, architects, manufacturers, because we can change the role of design and also the role of the products and the decision, the drivers of the decision of the products only by spreading this knowledge. Everyone has a specific knowledge we have as a product manufacturer, and only working together. We were on the stage with Kay Sargent, and really she's one of the best person and the best professional I have ever met. And she said, "Do you know what we have to do? We have as designers, we have to invite manufacturer to teach us what is sustainable because as designers we have the global vision but we don't have because we don't have time, we don't have the knowledge, and sometimes we don't have the interest in each specific, as you were mentioning, small components, small products. So we have to work together, which is something different from the relationship I remember 20 years ago you have with the architects was something more like, let me see what you can offer, what you can do for me, or I want this design because I did it, and so it's the best one. Today, I see there is a more open mind future where we can work together, committed to the same goals, which is something that we cannot delay.
I agree. And I guess that might be a big reason for why our industry is so slow, because everybody works separately and it's only starting now that we're working together towards one goal instead of like, I'm doing the greatest project. No, I'm doing the greatest project. And the architect telling really the manufacturers what they should do instead of bringing them in at an early stage and develop something together.
Exactly. And I should add that working with North America and Europe, I see a big difference between the two.
Oh, tell me more.
Americans architects are, I think, more open to think that a manufacturer can be a resource.
Mm-hmm.
European architects, not all of them, but European architects, I think they are still more in the position, I am the architect, and if I need something new, I tell you what you have to do, which is perfectly working if we are talking only about design, the shape. But if we are talking about something different, you have to listen to me because sometimes I have, when it happens with American architects and they ask, can you do this detail this way? And I reply, no, because it's not feasible, not only technically speaking, but it costs in terms of times and material more. So it doesn't make sense that for such a small details, we do such a huge consumption of resources. And I consider labor force a resource, not only because what happens at the end is the product price is higher. So maybe I'm doing a very beautiful, sustainable product, but it costs too much, not a reasonable cost. It costs too much.
Well, if it's just a question of money and they agree to pay for it, that's fine. But if it's also a question of sustainability or integrity that's gonna suffer from it, then it's a different discussion.
Yes, but when you asked me, what are you doing to improve the sustainability in your production activity? For example, is reducing the numbers of different components made of different materials, because if they are made with different materials, or if they are made with alloy allowed by regulation, but that contains bad minerals, let's say bad minerals, which are still allowed by regulation, I'm not doing my goal, which is to explain you that if we do this way, if we use something that we have already developed, it's not to save money for the company, because at the end, I sell the products, I can give others the cost of development. But it's a way to save really resources, and also resources as sustainability. It's a word that needs to be explained. When we talk about resources, we are considering tons of different aspects, from human, from to technical to nature. It's really,
it's nice that you take that responsibility seriously and bring it to the architect, because most of the time they don't really understand where your no is coming from. Is it because you're too lazy to work on a new design, or is there really a reason behind it? Really nice.
You get the point, but I'm really a person who trusts what I'm doing and trust in my company decision and trust in knowledge. So I just to let you know, I decided to do this PhD in psychology of architecture because I had the feeling that if I want to be consistent in what I'm doing, and if I want to be a storyteller, a reliable storyteller, I need to have the knowledge. I cannot only study. I mean, memorize. I need to understand. So that's the reason why I'm so focused when I talk with someone to say yes, what, because, or not because. And of course, I'm totally open that someone else convince me that we can do in a different way, which is even better than my way.
Yeah. So, Erica, what would be a common green myth, like a myth related to sustainable architecture that you would like to debunk?
I think it's really the one related to cost. The fact that it is not absolutely more expensive. It is more expensive only in the moment when you buy the products or when you build the building, but it is not more expensive in the long term. And we have to really stop thinking about the midterm and the short term, but only the long term is the ones we have to. It's not only because we need to be responsible with next generation, but I think that just looking outside the windows, you see that it's really late. So long terms demonstrate that sustainability is absolutely not more expensive. And when you are buying a product that is less expensive than another, just because it's produced in a country where they don't have any regulation for the environmental aspects, or even they don't have regulation for labor's force right, you are not paying less. You are paying less money, but you are spending human beings and nature, which is, I think, are more expensive. I really do believe that we should pay more a lot of things. That a good way to avoid this wasting of products should be regulation that pointed at really a higher cost on products that are produced without the responsibility of what they are, of the resources and all of them. So I think it's really the cost of sustainability is something that has to be defined.
Maybe also a higher cost of waste. Like when you throw away something, for example, when we have to tear down a building, we try to avoid it, but it has happened. If that would be much more expensive than what it is right now, maybe more people would think about it or recycle smaller parts.
Absolutely, but it has part to partner also with the durability of the building. So it has to be sustainable, which is a good thing. So maybe you do a building. I'm joking, but if you do a building in FSC wood, it is 100% sustainable, but I don't think it's really durable. So it's a combination of the two. You have to think in the long term, means thinking of all the different aspects. And I also think that the social impact that you have when you are sustainable is really something that is a value, an added value. In terms of my company, being affordable for the sustainability aspect, so environmental sustainability, is a way to gain the confidence also for the social impact of our company. And it is, at the end, it's market reputation. So if you want to be really focused on the profit, that is also one of the 3P, and it has to be focused on, because the reason to be of the company is to do profit. So we have to be profitable. We need to think about people, and we have to rethink our process to be sustainable. But it's really, if you think about the definition of sustainability, all the aspects that deny one of these components is something that can be easily debunked, because it's not true. If it is not, if you are not sustainable, you are not promoting social equity, and social equity is something really important for the well-being of all the population. And so the myth is the cost. I think that we have to focus on the cost, and of course, then you can list others. But the idea that it's expensive, it's not expensive. I believe not only in the short term, but for sure, it's not expensive in the long term.
I have one last question for you, Erica. Can you showcase one sustainable project or product from around the world that you like?
Well, that one is Toko collection. It's this collection we mentioned. So in terms of the product, I think is this hardware collection, but is a product. It's not a sustainable. It's not a process. I was thinking about the line. The line is that project in United Kingdom that is a garden. It's in a renovation project. Let me check some point, because I don't remember everything about the line, but I started, and I'm quite convinced that that one is really a good project. So
I thought you were going to say the line, the Saudi Arabia line is your favorite sustainable project when you said the line.
No, it's the tide. I pronounced it wrong. The tide.
Okay.
The tide. I'm sorry. It's the tide. Because now the line, the one in New York was another thing I was thinking maybe it is. But then I'm not so convinced, because I think it's a good idea in terms of environmental aspect, in reuse of something that was wasted spaces, but they have some problem in terms of accessibility, so it's not so inclusive. They are in promoting and improving this aspect. So I think the tide is in London, is a park. I don't know if you know, but it's a park.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, perfect. It's a park, and it's similar to the line. It's an elevated walkway, and it is in the Greenwich Peninsula. And this park transformed what was once an industrial site into a thriving urban green space. I think it is interesting because in terms of sustainability, is incorporate a lot of greenery, so it's really green space. And in terms of energy, I know it works with renewable energy and solar panels. They have also integrated a drainage system to reuse the water. And for the inclusivity, it has been designed with all the collaboration of the population. And so maybe the park is not exactly the perfect building, but for me, I love open spaces. I love nature. So when you ask me, tons of different buildings arise to my mind, but I want to choose something that was more related to natural. Also because I believe that if we integrated more biophilia, and this is something that we are doing in our corporate, where we are surrounded by green, but we are putting plants in all different offices and asking our colleagues to take care of, which is part of being convinced that relating even a small time. I see plants in your
Yeah.
it's exciting. My plants are just in front of me. So what is related to green, I think it's probably a best example of a sustainable project.
That's wonderful. You should listen to an episode I did, one of the first ones that I published with Kilai Diebel from Moss.
Mm-hmm.
Moss is also a female-founded company in Amsterdam, and they focus on green, not only indoors, but like increasing green spaces within offices, but also on rooftops, like urban greenery and in the offices. And they have tons of studies about how having, she said, or what I remember, what stuck to me is that if you have an 8% volume of greenery within a space, that's like when people perform best and are happiest.
Absolutely.
It's really interesting. Yeah.
It's part of, it's biophilia. It's our natural trend to what is natural, to the natural environment. Mm-hmm. I think that children, they can give us all the knowledge we need to have to understand how to create space where people can thrive and so perform. Mm-hmm. At the end, mm-hmm. Yes. Working space is where we spend 80% of our lifetime. So I think it's really important to create spaces that are inclusive, where people can also regenerate, and that are sustainable and that have biophilic aspects.
Mm-hmm. This has been wonderful. Thank you very much, Erika. If our listeners want to follow your work, where can they find you?
I think you can follow the LinkedIn page of my company and my own LinkedIn page, because we generally posted everything we are doing, and there's a team that is focused on showing what we are doing, as you mentioned, to be, I wouldn't say an example, but to show how you can do things differently, which is something that sometimes people is not so convinced they can do, people and companies as well. And so you can follow me that way. I will be teaching a class at Aquafil Academy at the end. I hope at the end of this month. I have tons of different appointments, so maybe I can send you the link. It's all about sustainability and inclusion. Those are the two main topics in architectural and design communities. So it wasn't 1 year ago, it is today, and I think this is the reason why this is a perfect moment to be powerfully involved in this moment that can change really the paradigm.
Thank you very much, Erika. It has been wonderful talking to you.
Thank you, Lalina. It has been a pleasure for me.
A huge thank you for listening. Make sure you subscribe to the show wherever you listen to the podcast to support me and so you don't miss an episode. And while you're there, I'd also be so grateful if you could rate and review us. If you have any guest suggestions or any feedback, you can find me on the socials at Latina Ship. Thanks.